Mabuhay, Kamustika. Welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. I want to continue from the last video. This is going to be about the biggest difficulties that Fil-Am or Fil-West marriages face. Foreigner married to a woman from the Philippines. That's what I did back in 2015, so we've been married almost 7 years, and here on Love Beyond the Sea I like to share different things that I've learned to help men who are not quite ready yet to give up, looking for the love of their life, and I just want to help them to know what to expect. So please consider subscribing here at Love Beyond the Sea and getting notifications. You'll need to click the word add after you click on the notification bell, because only that way will it actually complete that process. So this is going to be part 2 today. Biggest difficulties Fil-Am or Fil-West marriages face. Let's just start with money. Most likely there will be some tension in this area because you would normally expect to keep all of your money in-house, meaning with the two of you for your needs and wants. That's how we do it here in America, but it's different with the woman from the Philippines that will end up attracting your attention. It ties into the biggest difficulty or challenge a foreigner will have in developing a harmonious relationship, and that's embracing these cultural differences. It is these cultural differences that I believe is the most challenging thing about being married to a Filipina. And they come in different forms. So as far as embracing cultural differences, it's one thing to learn about and even comprehend, or even say you like these cultural differences, but it is another to be able to embrace it, live it out, let her live it out. Even more than accepting it, to embrace it. I went into my pursuit of my wife pretty much blind to everything. I wanted a wife, was willing to try the Philippines. Believe me, that was going way, way out of my comfort zone. Didn't even have a passport back then. Never thought I would need one. My case is one of needing to learn things from the experience of being married, like I said, for almost 7 years, as opposed to learning from other people. So most of the time I've known her, we've been married. We just returned from the Philippines, and my wife is, she's crying from the word go when we arrive and tearful when we leave. It's always that way. I think she would actually prefer to stay there. But she knows our home and our life right now is here in the United States. I want to talk briefly about distance from family, family support, and family ties that all go into this biggest difficulty of accepting cultural differences. Start with family support. Of course, the foreigner should know ahead of time that for all intents and purposes, the Filipina he is interested in will want very badly to help her family, or she may feel coerced into doing it, but she's going to do it. That's one of the reasons why she's willing to leave everyone and everything behind and go to the West, far away from home. That doesn't mean the foreigner is an afterthought. She cannot help her plight if she happens to be, poor by worldly standards in the Philippines, because that's where she was born. She can, however, do something about it, which is why she's willing to work overseas when marrying a foreigner. Most of them, I think, do want to work. I don't know where this idea comes from, that the Filipina just stays home and does nothing and lives off the foreigner. If it's in your country, I just don't think that's the norm, at least not what I've heard. The longer I am married to my Filipina wife, the more I respect her for this, coming over here and living with me, leaving everybody, working here. Maybe this is something that a foreigner just has to experience. It is absolutely not acceptable to pressure a Filipina into not supporting her family with her income or his, or to try to convince her that's not the way it's done in America. And it may not be, but it doesn't matter. She could care less how things are done here. She is expected to help her family from abroad. She really does not have a choice. There's a lot of pressure there. Well, not unless she wants to bring shame to her family. Is that what you want? The only exception I can think of is if she has children with the foreigner, their own, thus starting a family of their own. I've heard statements by Filipinas that their new family with their foreign husband and their children together comes first. That's when the monetary help back home stops. And that does make sense. There could be instances where the Filipina doesn't face societal pressure to support her family or doesn't think she has to, but I think those are rare. Family ties, as you may know, often families live under the same roof when they would not even conceive of that here in the United States. You get to be 18 over here and you may not want to be around your family. You might even want to live in another state and get far away from where you grew up. As hard as it might be to accept, this would be foreign to many of the women that would be on your list someday from the Philippines. The family ties are stronger than what you have experienced. I mean, on our vacation, we had probably most of the time a dozen people there. That's just the way it is. When you growing up sleeping on the floor together from very young, and then having bedrooms and still sleeping together with siblings, you get close to each other, and that's why I'm putting this here. Family closeness is really, really tight. Family ties. She will understandably want and need to spend valuable time chatting with family back home. And it would be unreasonable for her to not keep in touch with her friends, too. A lot of them, they've been friends since elementary school. A husband of hers would be very wise to recognize and accept and embrace the reality that his Filipina needs to stay close to her family in heart and mind. I doubt she ever preferred to leave the Philippines. It is a concession to her situation overall. This reality can play out very well for the foreigner if he just lets her be herself. She loves her family very much. I only came into my wife's life in 2015. I haven't been there the whole time. If I think she would make a radical change in her mindset towards her family, that will be losing enterprise. If she thinks that she should do that because of what I want. It is best to accept what you cannot change about this cultural reality, and even better, to support her in it. And I'll try to link a video about the next topic, which is about a remedy for homesickness. And that is because distance from family is important. All the Facebook messages and Skype videos can't replace being with her family. Anytime she can be with them in person again is a real shot in the arm for her. We visited the Philippines together in 16 and 18. My wife went by herself in 19. We went over Christmas in 2019. We just got back, and I think we went another time in there. It's not a requirement, for her to visit home every year or two. It would do her good to be able to now and then, and if she's earning money, she could use part of it for that. Having said all that, Filipinas are tough cookies that can deal with being away from home, work, and be a great wife, but you can't take the Philippines out of the Filipina and shouldn't want to. The biggest difficulty or challenge for the Filipina's foreign husband, like me, I think will be fully accepting and embracing the cultural differences, in their family situations. With an expanding family back home, she may feel like she wants to be with them all the time. You just don't know. There will always be financial needs too, from time to time. For sure, it would be a drastic mistake to try to acclimate her fully to your country, because it may never be more than a novelty to her. And her heart may be thinking about home a lot. That is why it is important for her to be able to go home, ideally, as often as is necessary. Don't forget that she's able to make a man a great wife and companion. I know some fil-am couples that seem to be doing well, and I bet that the guys simply appreciate what they have, and they don't have unrealistic expectations. The family dynamic is very important to your love beyond the sea.